What is up, folks? And welcome back to another one. Another video of me breaking down Russell Wilson's weekly performance. I'll be giving you guys these every single week after every single game. Good game, bad game, horrible game, terrific game. It don't matter. So, what we have today is one of those bad games. This is a game that was in reach for Denver throughout the entire thing, and it just felt like the offense did not make the plays that they had to, and that was the first time so far this season that it's not vice versa. Defense didn't do great. There's not much you can expect from the worst defense in the league, but they got some turnovers. They got a very, very, very huge clutch turnover that the offense couldn't capitalize on. They ended up giving up a big run to Breece Hall, which really took the air out of the team completely. But the plays were there to be made. And I have my criticisms on the offense from Sean Payton structurally, but that is absolutely not to absolve Russell Wilson of any blame, because he definitely holds his fair share. And jumping right on into it, this is what ends up being one of the swing plays in the game that spots the Jets 5 points up to this point. On the first opening kickoff, Mims fumbles the ball right in the field goal territory. Jets get a free 3 points. Here, Russ ends up taking a safety. They get 2 points and possession back. So that's 5 points already right there that you have just spotted the Jets, and they haven't even done anything to earn it. So, like I said, jumping right into it, what happens on this play is there ends up being nobody open at all. Nobody open. And what Russ should have done here is you're going to have P. Ryan in the backfield, and he's going to run up, and he's just going to run a simple check down route right there. It's just going to sit there 3 to 4 yards in Russell Wilson's vision. And for whatever reason, Russ just doesn't take it, and he's still waiting for a big play to happen. And I don't have many criticisms on the O-line for this. This is a pretty decent job of blocking this up. Russ just has to get the ball out when nothing is there. So we'll see it. I'll let you guys see it when I play it out. Top of his drop. Nobody's open. Nobody's even in the breaks of their routes yet. But P. Ryan is right there in the middle for a check down. Russ doesn't take it. He hitches. Doesn't see anything. Rolls out. Tries to roll out. Gets hit. Intentional grounding. You just got to get the ball out, man. You have to get the ball out there. So this is the first third down of the second half, and this is where things started to completely fall apart. For the Broncos offense. I believe they only had like 1 positive yard throughout the second half up until, I want to say, halfway or beginning of the fourth quarter, which is just insane. But it doesn't all fall on Russell Wilson, and I'll show you an example of that right now. So again, first third down of the second half. The Broncos are trying to work a deep curl to Sutton at the bottom of the screen here. You're going to see him come up, and then he's going to eat space and then just stop on a dime. And he does a good job of winning his route, and he would have been open if there wasn't a defender underneath of him that was sitting right in the window. And another thing that I don't really love about this play is they see pressure. They end up facing pressure, and there's no really reliable hot option for Russ to go to here. So you can see he's at the top of his drop here, and there's no hot option. It ended up being a sim pressure, and that's, they're not bringing any extra rusher, so Russ isn't responsible for throwing hot, but I would have liked to have at least an option for it on the route. And you can see when Court makes his break right there, he's the only one in his break in the entire field out of the receivers. He's open if it isn't for this Mike linebacker right here. If he isn't there, this play works. Instead, Russ tries to make something out of nothing and ends up taking a sack for no yards. So this is the following third down, and again, there's no really good option to get the ball to on this play. So they're seeing too high pre-snap. And the play call is going to be 2 outside goes from the outside receivers. And then from the slot receiver, you're going to see he's going to come up and he's going to run a deep curl. Now, they end up rotating to one high, and there's no leverage to throw either the bottom of the screen go to Judy or the top of the screen go to Mims. Both of those plays are just completely out leveraged, so there's no angle to get that ball to them. The inside curl route, he ends up getting squeezed by both the safety, the dropping safety, and the Mike linebacker, so that play, or that read, is completely ruled out for Russ. He ends up having a check down from the Y here, which I feel he should have gotten to, and he could have gotten to. I don't think it gets a first down, but you give your guy a chance to break a tackle and maybe turn it into some yak, and who knows, he might get a first down. Better than an incomplete pass and a 3 and out. So I'll let you guys see it. He gets to the top of his drop here, and there's just, even if he wants to throw with some anticipation, there's no one open. Judy tries to fight for the inside leverage on his go route and really work that red line, which is a good thing, but there's just no leverage for that ball to be thrown. You can see the check down here. He has all this space, but the first down marker still ends up being 10 plus yards away. So even if he did get that to the check down like I would have liked him to, there's a very slim chance that he ends up getting that first down. Now, on this play, this is just a rhythm miss for Russ. So they're reading too high pre-snap. And what they're going to try and work is they're going to get the vertical release from the outside receiver here. I'm sorry, you might not be able to see the diagram with the beaming sun. Blame climate for that. Can't blame me. But anyways, you're going to see the vertical release from the outside wide receiver, and then you're going to see the Y here, who was lined up off the ball. He's going to come up, and I can't quite tell if it's an option route or just a regular static out route, but Russ has to work this against too high. You're going to know that that tight end has isolated coverage. There's nobody going to be able to help him underneath, and you just have to get the ball here. And for whatever reason, Russ drops back, reads it, doesn't get the ball out, and there ends up being nothing else open. And this is on a second down, where plays like this are crucial for the offense to stay on schedule and for you to move the chains and sustain drives. And you don't have to be in a third down situation where you have to convert this play on a 3rd and 7, 3rd and 10, whatever it might be. You get this ball out here, and not only could it be a first down, but it's a manageable 3rd down. And these are the type of rhythm and timing plays that Sean Payton really builds his offense off of, and the whole league builds their offense off of. So it's really discouraging to see Russ miss this on this play, because he's been pretty consistent with it throughout the entire season. So you can see, I'll clear it out. He ends up getting that leverage that he wants. The tight end breaks out, and Russ just doesn't throw it, rolls out, nothing else is open, throw away, and then here comes another 3rd and long. Now this play is another 3rd down, and yet again another example of just nobody being open by the time Russ gets to the top of his drop. And I wouldn't necessarily attribute that to guys not being able to get open. There was certainly instances where that were the case, but in my opinion, I feel it was more of an issue of not scheming guys open enough or as frequently on Sean Payton's part, and on Russ's part, not getting the ball out on schedule and being able to sustain these drives. So they're going to try and work Judy on this switch release. He's going to go work inside and try to work the corner route, but that doesn't end up being there. And Russ has a shot to Sutton, who is working this backside dig coming into Russ's vision. But the problem is the offensive line just gets completely decimated. So I'll let you see it until Russ gets to the top of his drop. There he is. Pocket is already pretty much collapsing, and nobody is even close to getting into their breaks. You can maybe get the check down there to Troutman, I believe it is, and he might be able to turn up field and break a tackle from that DB to get the first down, which is what I would have liked to see him do. But there's just no one open, and the pocket just completely collapses. And I'll show you the tight angle, because there maybe have been a nice little pocket for him to step up into, but it would have been a really tough ask. So he gets to the top of his drop here. You would have liked to see him kind of work up and around that crease between McGlinchey and Powers, but again, the interior penetration that the Jets got on this Broncos offensive line cannot be understated. I mean, just look at this pocket as soon as he gets to the top of his drop. Everybody is getting pushed back, even a double team on Cushenberry and Ben Powers. They're just getting driven backwards. And by the time Russ gets to the top of his drop and he has to maneuver all of this, Sutton isn't even into his break yet, so it's not even like he can work his eyes back to the back dig, because look at this pocket. He works to his left. This is another example of me, I would have liked to see him try to step through that crease and then maybe work his eyes up to Sutton on that dig, but this is brutal pass protection. This ends up being a third down conversion to Jeudy, and this was the time in the game where, just like the Broncos seemed like they were out of it, this is where their offense seemed to gain a little bit of life, and that's just, it's gut-wrenching to see, because as soon as the game looks to be out of reach, this is when the offense picks up its balance, and this is when they start moving the ball, and it just isn't enough at the end of the game, and it's just very, very, very annoying to see. But this was a pretty nice play. You're going to get the outside go from Mims on the top of the screen there to the field, and Jeudy's going to come up and he's going to work this isolation route against his defender. So you're going to see how fast he closes space and eats up that space in between them, gets on their toes, gives a subtle fake to the inside before breaking outside. He ends up being wide open, and Russ does a good job of getting him the ball. It's a good throw. Pocket is relatively nice, actually very nice. He ends up taking a shot once he releases the ball, but it's just a good play overall, especially on a third down. And here is the just absolutely crucial back-breaking fumble from Russ that ends up sealing the loss. But I want to give credit where credit is due here. Ulbrich, the Jets defensive coordinator, could not have called a more perfect defensive call in this situation than what he did right here. I mean, it worked to absolute perfection. What they're going to get is you have Mosley mugged up on the line of scrimmage like that. And what that gives the offensive line, it gives them the look of an all-out pressure look. So what they're going to sort out is they're going to take on the 5 most inside threats to the quarterback, and which is going to be just on this look practically big on big. So whoever's in front of you, you have that guy because they have the inside track to the quarterback. But when that ends up happening is Mosley and some of the other guys on that defensive line drop back into hook zones, and the pressure ends up coming from the end of the line of scrimmage by that linebacker on the end that's stacked next to Sauce Gardner. And that's not accounted for in the protection. So when that happens and the offensive line isn't accounting for that extra guy, it is on the quarterback to either replace the blitzer with a throw to his vacated area, throw hot, or diagnose it pre-snap and get the right blocking scheme sorted out. So Russ doesn't end up replacing it with the throw. He doesn't sort it out because of the look that they gave pre-snap, and he doesn't throw hot. And when he ended up fumbling this ball, he walked off to the sideline, and there was that viral video of Sean Payton asking him what happened, and he looked furious. From what I gathered from it, and I'm not an expert lip reader, but I believe he was asking him why he didn't throw hot to the running back. So we talked about when there's an extra rusher, the quarterback is responsible for that extra rusher by either replacing it, throwing hot, or sorting it out. Now, P. Ryan is the hot option on this play, and it's just going to be a nice little rail route. It looks like it'll be covered because that safety is going to come down and cap it, and it's going to be minimal yardage. But if Russ threw this ball as soon as he diagnosed pressure, P. Ryan would have gotten the ball with a head of steam and maybe could have broken that tackle. And even if he doesn't break the tackle, you get a 3 to 4 yard gain on second down instead of a game-losing fumble. So I'll show you at the top of his drop. The guy ends up coming right around, and he needs to get this ball to Pirine because that is his hot option. They try to work a rub concept in the middle of the field with the two underneath crossers and Judy and Sutton because they were expecting man coverage, and they end up getting it, but with the angles of how these guys dropped out into coverage and the leverage that they're giving up, neither of those plays are there. So he should get this ball out to Pirine because Pirine is the hot read, and Pirine recognizes he's hot because he sees the pressure coming, and he immediately gets his eyes back to the quarterback, knowing that he is the hot option, so the ball should be getting there. Russ doesn't throw it there, and we all know what happened. Ends up getting knocked out for a scoop and score, and the Broncos ended up losing to Nathaniel Hackett. I mean, that's just, I don't even want to talk about it anymore. That's how annoying it is that they lost to Nathaniel Hackett.